Welcome to Headphone News, Montreal edition for Saturday, November 16th, 2024.
Train derailment in Longueuil, Quebec. A train derailment took place in Longueuil, Quebec, Canada on November 15, 2024. 8 train cars derailed at a Canadian National Railway yard. One of the cars contained hydrogen peroxide, which raised safety concerns. Authorities set up a security perimeter and advised residents to stay indoors. 3 workers from Canadian National were taken to the hospital as a precaution. By the morning, officials lifted all restrictions, allowing residents to return to their normal activities. Cleanup efforts will continue to manage the situation, and the cause of the derailment is still under investigation.
Quebec's Red Rooms gains attention. The film Red Rooms, directed by Pascal Plante, is creating buzz in Quebec, Canada. This true crime film follows 2 women who become obsessed with a serial killer's trial. Although it contains minimal graphic violence, the film captivates audiences with its unsettling themes. It premiered at the Karlovy Vary International Film Festival in the Czech Republic, where it won Best Film. The movie was also featured at the Fantasia Film Festival in Montreal, receiving enthusiastic responses from viewers. Critics point out the film's ties to the growing interest in true crime stories. Red Rooms has achieved modest box office success in France, the United Kingdom, and the United States, making it one of the most talked about films of the season.
Challenge to law on protests near abortion clinics in Quebec. A court in Montreal, Quebec, recently examined a 2016 law that requires protesters to stay 50 meters away from abortion clinics. Activists opposing abortion, including the Quebec Life Coalition, argue that the law infringes on their freedom of expression. Meanwhile, government lawyers defend the law, stating it is designed to protect women from harassment. Representatives from the clinics have reported instances of aggressive behavior from some protesters. The ruling from the Superior Court could have a significant impact on the ongoing debate regarding reproductive rights in Canada.
Impact of climate change on Quebec's ski season. A new study shows that climate change is causing the ski season in Quebec, Canada, to become shorter. Rising temperatures mean there is less natural snow and fewer days suitable for skiing. As a result, ski resorts in Quebec may need to use more artificial snow to keep their slopes open. This situation raises concerns for winter sports fans who look forward to skiing and snowboarding. These findings point to a larger issue that is impacting ski areas around the world.
Canadian home sales rise in October 2024. In October 2024, home sales in Canada increased by 7.7% compared to September. There was a notable jump of 30% year-over-year from October last year. This surge follows interest rate cuts by the Bank of Canada, which have made it more affordable for buyers to purchase homes. The average selling price of homes rose by 6% compared to last year. However, the home price index experienced a slight decline of 0.1% this month and a 2.7% drop over the past year. These changes highlight how the Canadian real estate market is responding to the recent adjustments in interest rates.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers gear up for 111th Grey Cup. The 111th Grey Cup is happening on November 17, 2024, with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers taking on the Toronto Argonauts. Winnipeg comes into the game as the favorite with a 9-point advantage. The Bombers aim to recover after losing in the championship match both in 2022 to Toronto and in 2023 to Montreal. Star running back Brady Oliveira will lead the team, while Toronto's quarterback Chad Kelly will miss the game due to an ankle injury, leaving backup Nick Arbuckle in charge. The Grey Cup is a significant event in Canadian culture and attracts a large audience every year. This year's game will be held at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, Ontario.
Montreal hospitals urge parents to avoid ER for minor health issues. Montreal's pediatric hospitals are facing major overcrowding in their emergency rooms. The Montreal Children's Hospital reports occupancy levels reaching 140%. A significant number of children visiting the ER are experiencing minor health problems, with 50% of visits in October due to mild issues. CHU Saint Justine reports that over 40% of its emergency visits are also for minor conditions. Hospitals are requesting that parents keep children with mild health issues at home and only seek emergency care for serious illnesses or injuries. Health professionals indicate that common ailments like mild flu can usually be treated at home. All children in need of urgent care will still receive assistance at these hospitals.
Port of Montreal to resume operations after dockworker lockout. Operations at the Port of Montreal will resume on Saturday morning, November 16, 2024, after a lockout that affected 1,200 dockworkers. The Canada Industrial Relations Board intervened to help resolve ongoing labor disputes, which led to the end of the lockout. The Maritime Employers Association faced rejection of its final contract offer, triggering the work stoppage. The Montreal Port Authority indicated it will take several weeks to clear the backlog of goods and return to normal operations. This situation also impacted ports in British Columbia, which resumed operations earlier this week.
Toronto approves new law to protect renters. The Toronto City Council has enacted a new law aimed at protecting renters from evictions under false renovation claims. The measure received support from 25 members of the council, with only one voting against it. Starting on July 31, 2025, landlords will need to obtain a renovation license that costs $700 approximately $515. The law requires landlords to prove that significant renovations necessitate tenant displacement. Furthermore, landlords must help displaced tenants find temporary housing at similar rental rates. They are also required to provide moving allowances and severance pay for tenants who decide not to return after renovations are completed. Mayor Chow supports this law, stating it is essential for protecting tenants from rising rents and unfair evictions. On the other hand, Count Holiday expressed opposition to the law, claiming it adds unnecessary burdens on landlords. This new regulation addresses ongoing housing challenges in Toronto.
Update on the Canada Post workers' strike. Workers from Canada Post across the country are currently on strike. Around 55,000 postal employees are participating due to disputes over wages and working conditions. The strike began on November 15, 2024, right before the busy holiday season. This means there will be no mail or parcel deliveries across Canada, and many postal offices are closed. This strike is affecting millions of Canadians and many small businesses that rely on postal services. However, government benefit checks, including old age security payments, will still be delivered. Canada Post has also indicated that it may take some time for mail services to return to normal after the strike ends.
Canada Post strike disrupts small businesses. On November 15, 2024, Canada Post workers launched a strike, impacting small businesses throughout Canada. Approximately 80% of these businesses rely on Canada Post for shipping and handling payments. In Oshawa, Ontario, business owner Sterling Slingerland had to stop online shipping, instructing local customers to pick up their orders instead. Many of his customers are from the United States, complicating delivery logistics. Other business owners, like Remy Vino in Moncton, New Brunswick, are facing challenges as alternatives for letter mail are limited. Many businesses are at risk of significant sales losses during the busy holiday season. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business has urged the government to intervene, seeking solutions through negotiations or arbitration. Meanwhile, Teamsters Canada has shown support for the striking postal workers, emphasizing solidarity among labor groups. This strike raises important concerns for small businesses during a crucial shopping period.
Increased demand at Quebec City homeless shelter. The Repit Bassville shelter in Quebec City, Quebec, recently reopened and has seen a dramatic increase in demand for services. On its first night, 110 people sought shelter, almost double what staff expected. Concerns have been raised about the growing number of individuals experiencing homelessness as winter approaches. Last winter's busiest night had 120 people. The shelter aims to ensure that no one has to sleep outside, but staffing shortages currently limit operations to 5 nights a week, from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. The shelter is looking to hire more workers soon to expand its services and meet this rising need.
Shooting incident in Scarborough leads to arrests. On November 15, 2024, Toronto police responded to a report about a concerning message that involved a firearm in Scarborough, Ontario. Officers attempted to stop a vehicle connected to this report, but the vehicle fled and later crashed. Upon arrival at the scene, officers found a man in his early 20s suffering from a gunshot wound. Two suspects, aged 17 and 19, were arrested at the site. The injured man received medical treatment for non-life-threatening injuries. Police recovered 2 firearms from the vehicle during the investigation. The Ontario Special Investigations Unit has been notified. This incident raises ongoing concerns about gun violence in urban areas.
Quebec politician faces criticism for controversial statements. On November 15, 2024, Haroun Bouatsi, a member of Quebec Solidaire, received significant backlash for statements regarding race and immigration. In a recent speech to the Fondation Club Avenir in Montreal, Bouatsi claimed that some lawmakers view minorities negatively. This comment sparked accusations of racism from officials in the governing coalition Avenir Quebec and the opposition Part 1 Québécois. These officials insisted they do not blame immigrants for social issues. Leaders within Bouatsi's own party called his remarks clumsy, but supported his intent to raise awareness about challenges faced by immigrants. This controversy may prompt politicians to rethink how they address sensitive topics moving forward.
Quebec politician faces backlash over controversial remarks. On November 15, 2024, Quebec Solidaire member Haroun Bouatsi faced significant criticism for comments made during a speech in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Bouatsi discussed how some politicians treat minorities, implying they portray them as dangerous or inferior. This statement upset members of the governing coalition Avenir Quebec and the opposition Part 1 Québécois, who felt unfairly labeled as racists. They denied any accusations of racism and called for Bouatsi to retract his statements. In light of the uproar, Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois, a co-spokesperson for Quebec Solidaire, urged calm and cautioned against any potential violence directed at Bouatsi. This incident brings to light ongoing discussions about immigration and racism in Quebec, raising critical questions about how politicians navigate these sensitive issues and their effects on society.
That is all the news for today. Thank you for listening to today's Headphone News. News summary brought to you by AI.